Welcome back to another Sunday prep day. If you're new here, every Sunday I prep for the week, so it means cutting all my vegetables and making things that take a little bit longer. So today, just soaking some chickpeas for a curry tomorrow. And for that curry, I'm also going to make a curry paste right now. I'm going to make some soup and I'm going to make a roasted salsa. And we'll start off by roasting the vegetables for the roasted salsa. So I'm taking a whole head of garlic and cutting that in half, like this way. That way all the cloves will come out really easily when it's roasted. So here I have my little silicone basket, put that in. I have some shallots, put those in. And some tomatoes. I have these small tomatoes full of flavor. You can use cherry tomatoes, anything with lots of flavor basically. So I'll get some of those in. And then on top of that, I'm going to put some peppers. These are sweet peppers. They're not spicy, but I like using these because they're nice and sweet and small. And then I'll also put in a bunch of chilies, in this case some jalapenos. And the reason I'm putting the peppers and chilies on top is that I want the skin to blacken so that peels off easily. Like the tomatoes and the onions, I don't really care about blackening. So those are on the bottom, and the garlic is in some foil to protect it from burning. So that goes in. I preheated my Ninja Foodi on grill, high as it goes. I'll just put that in. And I'm using a silicone basket to catch all the juices, so I can use that in my salsa as well. Just add a little bit of oil, and I'll grill these. It'll usually take about 20 to 30 minutes and turn everything around halfway through, like especially peppers and chilies, to get blackened on both sides. I'll just start with 10, see how it goes, turn things around, give it another 10, and maybe another 10 after that. So here I have some cloves of garlic. These smaller ones I'll throw in this cup for my food processor. I'm going to make my curry in that. Then also for my soup, I need 2 cloves. I'll just leave those whole because those will get all soft, so I don't need to cut them. And then here I have a little bit more garlic for a pasta and a stir fry. So just go over my menu for lunch today, sorry. I'm gonna have some sandwiches with some ham, because I usually have sandwiches on Sunday, nice and easy. The only time of the week I have carbs for lunch is the weekend. Then for dinner tonight, I'm gonna do some, what am I gonna do? Some sausage with some spinach and some potatoes. And then tomorrow for lunch, I'm gonna make that soup that I mentioned, just the vegetable soup. Let's cut up an onion for my soup. Then for dinner, I'm gonna have a vegan curry with lentils and chickpeas. So that's why I soaked my chickpeas, because otherwise they can't get tender if you put them in dried. And for that curry, I'm gonna make my curry paste with like coriander stems or cilantro stems for the Americans, with chilies, fresh turmeric, ginger, etc. And I'll also use some tomatoes for that and some spinach when I cook it, and some coconut milk. And I'll just serve that with some jasmine rice. So this is a yellow onion for my soup. I'll put that in with the whole garlic cloves. That's all going to go in my soup. I'm using a yellow onion just for color. Ideally for my curry paste, I would also use a yellow onion just for the color, but I thought I had 2. I only had 1. So I'm going to use a red onion. It doesn't really matter that much. It's just a color thing. And I'll just chop that real quick, just so it's easier on the food processor. It doesn't take that long to splits up. So we were on Tuesday for lunch. I'm gonna have some sausages with some green beans. I could change vegetables around. I also have broccoli and more spinach. So let's put that in there. So all the veggies, I'm gonna have them during the week. I can just change when I have them still. So I'm gonna cut up one more onion. That's gonna go in like a pasta and a stir fry. So yeah, for Tuesday for dinner, I do Taco Tuesdays. So I'm gonna have some quesadillas with some chicken and the roasted salsa that I'll be making. Then on Wednesday for lunch, I'm gonna do a low carb stir fry with chicken and broccoli stems. I'm using the broccoli stems as you would something like rice or noodles. It's a good way to use that up, less food waste. Then for dinner on Wednesday, I'm gonna do some pasta with lots of veggies, some bacon, maybe some cream cheese, haven't decided yet. So that's the onion done. For Thursday, for lunch, I'm gonna do some chicken skewers with, again, broccoli or spinach or green beans. Just chopping up this celery for my soup. And then for dinner, I'm gonna do some chicken with, I bought this sauce, either a teriyaki sauce or Korean barbecue sauce. I have both. I'll decide which I want to use that day. With some noodles and some green beans. Celery goes with the rest of the soup ingredients. Then here I have some carrots. I'll put some in my soup and some in my stir fry. So for the stir fry, I just want to cut them slightly smaller, and for the pasta as well. So I'll cut them in half because these are quite small. So I'll do one more. And I'll just slice those nice and fine. So that is perfect for my pasta and my stir fry. And then the rest of these carrots I'll use in my soup. Doesn't need to be too fine for that. And I just have these tiny carrots that I'll just use up. So I'll just give those a rough chop because they don't need to be too fine for the soup. I'm gonna leave the vegetables whole. I'm not gonna blend it, so it needs to be somewhat fine, but not too fine. But yeah, that leaves it with Friday for the menu. So for lunch, I'm gonna have some salmon with some green beans, and then for dinner, I'm gonna do some fish tacos again using the roasted salsa that I made. Then I have a whole bunch of chilies. Most of them are gonna go in my curry paste. So I'll cut this jalapeno just in chunks again to make it easier on the food processor. Save these. And again, these I'll just give a rough chop. And those can go in my curry paste as well. So it's like 5 or 6 chilies in there. I'm using green just for color. And then here I have 3 different colors chilies. Those are going to go in things like my stir fry and my pasta. And I'm just using different colors because I can. Because it looks nice. I like having as much color as possible in my dishes with fresh food. I'll actually put a few bits of chili in my soup as well. Then next up, we have some peppers. I have these small peppers again. And I just have different colors. I'll clean them out. And I'll slice them up again for my stir fry and for my pasta. And let me check on the peppers. They're just starting to blacken, so I'm just going to turn everything around. And I'll give that another 10 minutes. And then I'll just get back to chopping my peppers. I'll be doing all of these in slices. Then next up, some tomatoes. These are going to go in my curry. So I'm just going to quarter them so they cook down easier. And you can use canned tomatoes in curry as well, but I prefer using fresh when they're in season. Then up next, some broccoli for one meal this week. So I'm just cutting off the florets. And I'll cut them into bite-sized pieces. There we go. This stem I'm going to save for next time, and this stem I'll use for my stir fry. So I'm just taking the leaves and the remnants of leaves, like the little eyes, the dry bits. I'll take those off. I don't know how well you can see, but these little bits, I want to take those off. And then I'll just cut this in half, cut it lengthwise. I'm cutting it quite coarse because I don't mind if it's a little coarse, but you can cut it finer if you want. And that's going to go in my stir fry. And the only thing I don't use is this very end bit because that's dry. Everything else is fair game. It's delicious and it's a good way to not waste anything. Then next up, I have a whole bunch of green beans. That's for 2 or 3 meals this week, so I'll just top and tail those real quick. There we go. Get rid of the ends. Then next up, I have some cilantro. That's going to go in my salsa. So I'll just cut off the stems, and then the stems go in my food processor with the rest of the curry ingredients and some stems I saved from last week as well. And then this cilantro, I'll just give a rough chop. It's going to go in my salsa. It's going to get blended, so I don't need to cut it too fine. So the reason I'm cutting it is because sometimes if it's too large, it will ride on the top. It won't get pulled down, so that's why I'm cutting it. And then the last few things for the curry paste. I have some lemongrass. Again, I'll give that a rough chop so it goes down easier. And then here I have some ginger and some turmeric that I'm just going to peel real quick. And you'll want to use a glove when you're working with fresh turmeric because it will stain your hands badly. Oh, and that's the Ninja Foodi again. I'll check real quick. Give things one more flip. And I think that needs another 5 minutes. But yeah, I'll just get back to peeling. And we'll check back in a moment. And again, I'm just giving a rough chop so it goes down easier. And that can go in, and we're at 26 minutes. This, I'm just gonna blitz up real quick. I'll put away all the things I do not need anymore, and then we'll make the soup and the salsa. So here I have my curry paste. In a moment, I'm just gonna put that in some glass jars. I'm using glass because, like I said, turmeric stains, so you don't want to store it in plastic. So I'll do that in a moment. In the meantime, my vegetables have also finished roasting, so You can see there's a nice char on it, not burnt, but a nice char. So if I'm gonna let this rest for a moment, the skin will peel off really easily. And I also preheated my Ninja Foodi. That's another pro about using the basket. I could just take that out and I can just use the same pot. So have that preheating on saute. I'll add a little bit of oil. And I'll add my soup ingredients. So that's onion, garlic, celery, carrot, some chilies. Put that in. And I'll add some salt as well. You know what? I just remembered I actually have some leek left over still. That would be perfect in a soup. So I'm just gonna cut some rings. I'm not gonna use this whole leek, just a little bit. There we go, and I'll add that as well. And I'm just gonna let everything soften. And now that the vegetables have softened, I'm gonna add some water. I'll add my pressure cook lid. Again, you can just simmer this or slow cook this. I have a pressure cooker, so it's just a little bit quicker, especially when filming. I'll give that 20 minutes. Then those vegetables will be completely soft. In the meantime, I just put everything in glass containers. Whenever I make curry paste, I always make a big batch. I'm gonna use one batch tomorrow, the other probably next week or something, because this will last a week or two in the fridge. So while that cooks, the vegetables are cooling down. I'll just wait for that and then I'll be back to make the salsa. So these peppers are now cool enough to handle. So I'm just gonna open them up, take the seeds out. You've seen me do this many times before. And the skin comes off really easily now, as you can see. So I'm just gonna do that for all the peppers and all the chilies. And I don't think I recorded there, but I have all my chilies in there. The reason I'm using the jalapenos is because I have a little bit more meat to them, so they don't burn as quickly. And I just added my shallots, my garlic. I could just squeeze that out really easily. The tomatoes, some cilantro, some lime juice. I'll add some salt. A nice bit, because tomatoes and peppers always need a lot of salt. I'll add a bit of cumin. And I'll go blitz that up. And that's what it looks like blended up. I gave it a little taste, nice and spicy. Doesn't need any more salt or anything, or lime. So I'll just put that in a different container so I can store that in the fridge. And this again should last a week at least in the fridge. And the soup is also done, so that's all the prep work done for this week. As you can see, it took no time at all. So if you like this kind of content, I do this every single Sunday. If you'd like to see what I do with all the things that I prepped, you can check out my video that I post on here about once a month, where I show you everything I eat in a day for a whole week. Or you can check out my Instagram, that's linked below, where I post every single meal. So if you like this, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and thanks for watching. Until next time, bye for now.